Hello everyone, welcome. I'm very excited today to bring you the Middletown Township Public Library August Take and Make class. Today we're going to be doing the bookmarks. Everyone should have a kit with one bookmark in it. You'll have either the anchor, which is this one here. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about the lighting. I'll have it fixed in a second. Okay, there we go. So there's the anchor. Or you'll have the sailboat kit. All right. So before I begin, why don't I introduce myself and tell you a little bit about myself, and then we can jump into what we're going to be doing for the day. Again, my name is Lesli-Ann. I am a paper crafter since 2009. I have my own paper crafting business, which is Lesli-Ann.com. I teach online and in-person classes. I also teach people how to do stamping, card making, and smaller 3D projects like little gifties, I always call them, hostess gifts and things like that. But I started stamping, like I said, back in 2009. And the first time I did it, I fell in love. I had so much fun. I was just amazed by putting ink to paper or ink stamp to paper that I could make something so beautiful, and I'm not that crafty. I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. And so I've just been going and going. I've met so many people along the way. I have friends all over the United States because of stamping. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So Stampin' Up! Stampin' Up! Is a company out in Utah, and they manufacture all their own stamps and stamping products and things like that. And as a demonstrator, not only do I demonstrate the products and teach classes and how to stamp and make all these wonderful projects, but I also sell the Stampin' Up! Products. And because of Stampin' Up! And stamping, it has brought me so much joy, and I've met so many people all over the place, and I literally have a Stampin' Up! Family. And it's just so much fun. And I truly believe in the more the merrier. And I know that when I'm stamping with more people, I have a blast. So I say that, the more the merrier. So, like I said, I've been stamping for quite a while. I love to bring people in, and I love to teach people the art of stamping because it's not that difficult, and you can make beautiful projects. And I'm hoping by taking this class, you'll learn some things about stamping and how simple it can be, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So during this whole class, if you have any questions about anything, I want to give you my contact information. My email is hello@lesliann.com. And I just want to point out, my name is spelled Lesli-Ann. There's no E at the end of either Leslie or Ann, and there is a hyphen in between. So again, there's my email. So if you have any questions along the way, definitely get in touch with me. I want you to enjoy this. It is a fairly simple project, so you won't have any problems. Now, what you can expect today is I'm going to go through the projects with you. I'll explain how to put them together, and I will also go through the techniques and describing and explaining what you need to do for how you learn different things about stamping, the different gluing methods, and all different things. So hopefully you'll walk away with not only putting this project together, but also with some knowledge or basic knowledge on stamping and how to make some, in this case, a nice little bookmark. So why don't I get you started? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you down to my hands. So give me just a second. There we go. All right. So, I do want to turn on some lights, make it a little bit brighter so you guys can see. Just bear with me 2 seconds. Otherwise, it gets too bright if I have it on when I first start talking. So, I'm hoping that this is good for you guys. I'll move this one up as well. Okay, so again, these are the projects that we're going to be working on. They're nice little bookmarks. When you open them up, you just slide your page in here, you close it up, and then boom, you got a gorgeous little bookmark for your book. Okay, let's see. Why don't we start with the kits that you received? So through the library, you should have 2 kits. Get these out of the way. One with an anchor and another with a sailboat. Okay, let me just kind of see if I can, no, actually that's pretty good. I was going to see if I should zoom out. The first thing that you do with any project is you work on cutting your base. So I'm just going to go through a couple of quickie instructions for you. Just FYI information. You really don't need this with your kit, but like I said, I want to teach you how to do some paper crafting. So with the art kits, you'll have your blue strip of paper, and this is, I believe, 2 inches by 9 inches. So in order to get that, the first thing we did was I took a piece of cardstock. Let me move this down so you can see, and I cut that at 9 inches, and then I went ahead and cut it, and then I turned and put it at the 2-inch mark, and I went ahead and cut that, and that left me with the bookmark piece base. The next thing I did was I scored this in half. Now you can either fold it in half, but you should have a score mark on yours, and I score it in half at the 4.5 inch mark. Now while my cutting my paper trimmer, I have 2 blades. I have one which is the cutting blade. I also have another which is my scoring blade, and that just puts the mark in there. So again, I'm going to go at 4.5, lock that in place, and I'm going to score it. Okay, now in your kit you should have your base, and I'll try to zoom out a little bit. Whoopsies, I just lost it. Oh, sorry, hold on just a second. I just want to make sure that you have a full screen here. Okay, so you should have your base, and this is for both of them, even though they're different. You should have a piece of cardstock that's crumb cake. It's called crumb cake cardstock, and that is 1 7/8 by 4 3/8. And then you should have a piece of very vanilla, and that is going to be, let me see, the 1 3/4 by 4 1/4. All right, I just want to make sure everybody has their pieces. You should have a piece of either an anchor, or you should have a sailboat, and you should also have a couple of magnets. And the magnets may be sticking together. They're thin magnets, but that's okay, they will work. And the last one that you should have, oh, you should also have a blue circle. If it's not this one, it may be a different blue circle. And you should also have a piece of twine with the anchor. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do this separately. So you have with the sailboat, you'll have this, you'll have this, you'll have your paper will be embossed, so there'll be different designs. You'll have your sailboat, you'll have your, I can't even think of what this is, your magnets, and then you should have a piece of blue. This one is a little bit different, but it'll be a punched out piece of cardstock. It's a scallop circle. All right, so now that you have your pieces, let's go through and I'll show you a little bit of how we get everything together and what all the pieces mean and how we put them together. All right, so the first thing I like to do when I'm making something is get all my pieces completed, and I kind of lay everything out before I adhere everything. So you want to take your cardstock, your 9-inch piece by 2, and you're going to fold that in half. Now, if you look closely, there should be a score mark in there. I tried to do that for everyone, and that's about your halfway mark. So if not, that's okay. You just want to bring your 2 edges together, and then in paper crafting, when we fold things and have to get a nice crisp edge, we use something called a bone folder, and all we do is just slide it across the edge like so. So why don't we all go ahead and do that. This one should be done. So then we have the 2 like this. The next thing that I would like you to do is take your crumb cake, which is the lighter tan color, if you will, and we're going to put some glue or adhesive onto that and put it right on top of that blue cardstock. Now, if you'll notice, I left a small little edge, so it's actually forming a border. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And there's two different types of, well, there's a number of different types of adhesives. The ones that I use are, this is a runner, tape runner. This is Stampin' Up! Stamp and Seal. But the adhesive is inside, and as you run it across, the adhesive goes, oopsies, the adhesive goes down on the paper. So let me just demonstrate that for you. So there's, can you see that adhesive on there? Yeah, you guys can kind of see it. If I get the light just right, it'll reflect it a little bit. There we go. And then you want to make sure that you get it right up into the corners and on the ends. And the reason for this is you want to make sure that they stick really well and they're not, and it doesn't come up. The other type of adhesive, and oh, let me just put, and then what you're going to do is just place that down right on top of your blue cardstock. You want to eyeball it, make sure that it's fairly even all the way around. And then once you have it where you want, then press down. The other type of adhesive is a multi-purpose glue. And I'm using the Tombow green, some people call it the green glue. And with this, you only need a little bit. Oh, I have a little bit of a glue glob on the end. Excuse me, clean that off. So you really only need a little bit, and you want to get it to the ends, but you don't want it coming over the ends. So tiny bit. See how little I'm putting on there? And I'm just gonna go right down the ends. This glue is very good. It's a very strong hold. And I'm gonna turn it. And notice I'm getting the corners, and I'll do a little bit on the insides. It does not have to be a lot. And then when you put this down, people like this because when you put it down, you have some wiggle room with it. You can move it around before it adheres. You're going to do the same thing, line it up, and then you're going to press down. And then you want to kind of press down a little bit, make sure it really adheres on, give it a minute, and then it should be okay. Now, the next step that we have is the vanilla cardstock. And with the sailboat, you're going to have one that has, it's an embossed piece of paper, and it looks almost like, it reminded me of like ocean waves. So we're going to adhere this on as well. With the anchor, your embossed piece of paper looks like this, and it's tiny little, almost like a basket weave or small little rectangles. And I thought it made me think of kind of like a basket or, you know, kind of the material that you use in sailing and things. So I thought that was cute with that, with the anchor. So we're going to go ahead and adhere these down. I'm going to do this quickly, and then while you're doing yours, I'm going to show you how I got this embossing how I do this embossing technique. Now, this is called dry embossing. And that's when you're just using paper and nothing wet. There's different types of embossing where you use heat embossing and you heat things. This is dry embossing. And let me do this quick. My adhesive is not coming out. I love this type of the dry embossing because it really adds texture and a little bit of dimension, if you will, to any kind of a project, and it can really make something come alive without having to do a lot of work. So I use this in a lot of my projects. All right, so there's your two. So you have your anchor one, which is the kind of a weave, and then you have the one for the sailboat, which is more of a ocean wave. All right, I'm going to put these aside for a moment so I can explain to you about dry embossing. There are a couple of different folders in embossing. So the one I'm using today, one of the ones, and the one I'm going to be using, is the wrapped and textured embossing folder from Stampin' Up. And they come in a couple different sizes, excuse me. So you can see one is larger than the other. So this one is about a, let's see, 4 by 6, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's about 4, it's almost 6.5 and 4.5. And then a smaller one. And this is about, I don't know, 3.5 by 6.25. So they both work the same. What you do is you open the folder, and when you open it up, you're going to put, where's my scrap paper? You take your piece of paper that you want to emboss, and obviously with the smaller ones, I have a little bit of eraser in here. With the smaller ones, it's for smaller pieces of paper. With the larger ones, you can use, it's for larger, like cardstock, card front or something. But I could also put the small one in here as well, and that would be fine. But the one that I need is this one. So what you're going to do is take your cardstock, you're going to put it in, try to put it in a straight line. For this design, it really doesn't matter if it's in a straight line or not, but for some, it does make a difference. So you want to pay attention to the pattern and make sure your cardstock is straight. And it's just a good habit to get into. If you always think, put your cardstock in straight. So then you're going to fold it over. Now let me show you the two different machines, or well, I'll show you two machines that I have to explain dry embossing. The first is one that you may have seen. This is called a Big Shot from Sizzix. So this is what it looks like, obviously looking straight down. Let me see if I can turn it this way for you. So this is the Big Shot, again by Sizzix. You're going to put your embossed paper, your folder through. I'll show you how to do that. And then you crank the handle and it comes out the other side. This is nice, but it's very heavy and it's kind of bulky. So obviously I use this one from time to time, but the one that I prefer now is Stampin' Up! Stamp and Cut and Emboss. This is the mini. So this is great for smaller projects like what I'm doing. And it's so much lighter. So that makes a big difference. All right, now with either of the machines, you do get cutting plates. With the Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss, it has different plates. And what I like about this is that it has numbers on there. And then you just look to see what you're going to be doing, and it tells you what plates to do. So I know with this actual folder, I'm only going to be using these two plates. It says right here, 1 and 3. So I'm going to put plate 1 down. And you actually stack up it's what they call making a sandwich, and you put your embossing folder down. So I have my base plate, my embossing folder. I always, with embossing folders, you always put the crease where the fold is. You always put that into the machine going first. That's very important, because if you go the other way, if I put this into the machine going this way, with the crease on this end, then it could change the integrity of the folder and flatten it out and things like that. So you always want to keep it with your crease going in. So this is my sandwich, my base plate, my folder with the paper, and then I'm just going to put my top plate over it. You push it through the machine till it bites. You can see it's biting because the handle is moving. See that? And then you just take your handle, hold the top so it doesn't shift, and then you crank it through. It's easy. I love it. It's kind of fun. People always say it's like making pasta. All right, let me put this aside. Now I'll take my plates, put those aside, and when you open up your paper, you have your embossed piece of paper. So what the machine does, it actually adds pressure to the folder and pushes down onto the paper and puts the embossing on it. Now when the design is pushed up and out, that's called embossing, and when it's flattened, the other side of the paper, that's debossing, where the design goes down. So this is an embossed side. I don't know if you can see that. So that's the embossed side. See how it comes up? And this is the debossed side. See how it goes down? It looks like little holes in there. All right, so that's how I did that portion of your kit. Now let's get back to our bookmarks. So here's our bookmarks. Why don't we go quickly with the inside? So you should have a magnet. It'll look like one magnet, but if you pull it, they're just stuck together. Pull it apart, and you want to put adhesive on the back of the magnet. I'm going to use my, actually I'm going to use this because This is the Stampin' Up! Stamp and Seal Plus. It's a sturdier, more permanent adhesive. So I want to make sure this goes on and it doesn't come off. So I'm going to put that on. Make sure you get it on your ends and your corners. And then open up your bookmark. Oops, I got a little extra adhesive. And you want to just put it right down on the bottom. And then, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see with the black on the dark blue, but I think you can see that there. And then you want to take the other one, do the same thing on the other side. So we'll go like this, and we'll go like this. Okay. And then that's your magnet part. Now let's decorate the front cover. Okay, so now looking at, I'm going to work with the sailboat one first. So in your packet, you should have a sailboat that's cut out, and it has what we call dimensionals on it. So if you turn it over, it's got little dots on it. These dimensionals are adhesives, small adhesives that we use. Let me take a large one that you stick on any cutout or anything that you want to add a little dimension to pop it up a little bit. So if you look at this, do you see that it's got a little foam padding on it? So that's how, believe it or not, that tiny little bit to pop up that piece of paper is going to make a difference. So one side has adhesive. Let me show you the package. One side has paper on it, and when you peel it up, it's sticky. And this is the side that you put down on your whatever your object is. In this case, it's the sailboat. And then you have a backing on there. So you want to just peel off the backing and then place it onto your bookmark. Now, people who have the anchor, you can go ahead and do the same thing on yours. While I'm going through this now, oh, here's the anchor one. So all you're going to do is take the backing off. You're going, a couple tips when you're doing the backing. Let me zoom in a little bit to show you guys. So when you're doing the backing, there's a couple of different ways to get it off. Sometimes it's hard if you don't have nails. And there's two different sizes. So this, as you can see, this is the regular size dimensionals, and these are the mini. See how small they are? And that's what I used for the sailboat and the anchor, because they are smaller pieces. Now, to get that backing off, you can either just peel it off like that. You can use what we call a U-pick tool or any pointy object that you have, and you just push down on the top and pull it right up. Another way you can do it is use your thumbnail or any nail and just push down on it, and that causes the paper to kind of crease up, and then that is an easy way to pull it off. So I want you to go ahead and do that, and you can put your sailboat on. And then you can also put your anchor on. Now when you put your anchor on, put it at a little bit of an angle. All right, so now let me go back out. Oops, sorry. I just want to get a little bit of space, because what I want to do is I want to show you what I did with this. So this is where we get into the stamping. So what I did, the stamp set that I'm using is a stamp set that's called Sailing Home. And these are all the stamps that are on it. These stamps are the red rubber cling stamps, and you can see that here. I've taken the stamps out already. What makes them, obviously the red rubber on top, but they have foam backing. And that foam backing you can see here, and then it's sticky with a picture on it so that you know it's this stamp set. But this stickiness will stick to a acrylic block. So we have acrylic blocks come in all different sizes. So as you can see, if I put it down, it doesn't come off and it stays on. So there are a number of different sizes with acrylic blocks. You can get big, small, narrow. Let me show you just a couple here. And then, I mean, they come in large. They come in all various sizes. So depending on the stamps, you want to make sure that your stamp is on a block that's fairly close in size, so that you get a really good a good, let me use another one. I'll show you the ones that we have. You want to put your stamp on a size block that is close to the size that you have, so that when you stamp down, you get good contact with the paper. If it's too big, you might not get all the contact that you want. Now, when you stamp, with the red, I started to say earlier, with the red cling stamps, you have the rubber stamp, and then you see there's a foam padding in there, and that foam padding allows you to push down a little bit, add some pressure, and make really good contact with the paper. So what I did to do the sails and the sailboat and the anchor is I took a piece of white, or very vanilla cardstock. I took an ink pad. If you have any ink pads at home, I'm going to take a little sidetrack here. Ink pads, when you have an ink pad open, all the ink, you need it to be on the top where you're going to be putting your stamp. So you want the ink to be up at the top. You don't want it at the bottom. So you should be storing your ink pads upside down. If it's just a regular, like an ink pad, like, let me pull this one up. Like this is a black Memento ink pad. So when I open it up, you see the ink pad's there. So you want to make sure that you're storing it upside down. So when you go to use it, all your ink is up top and it's nice and juicy and you get good coverage. Stampin' Ups are nice because you don't have to do that. You just open it up. It's already upside down. See how they have it designed, which is pretty cool. All right, that's just a little side note about ink pads. If you have any at home, make sure you store them upside down so your ink comes to the top. So what I did was I inked up the stamp that I have. Now, when you ink up a stamp, you want to go straight down. You don't want to push really hard, just ever so lightly. You can look at it to see, to make sure there's ink on there. You can do it again to make sure. And then you want to just go straight down. You don't want to rock or wiggle. You don't want to push really hard. You just want to go straight down and then straight up. And that's it. Now let me explain to you why you don't want to push really hard on the ink pad. As you can see, I got a lot of ink on the side. I got it over on the other side of the ink, the rubber stamp, which you don't want. And then if I go down, and you think, oh, if I rock it and really push it, I'm going to get it right into the paper. Well, what happens is now you get what we call a halo. Do you see the outside of the stamp? It kind of caused the, you can see it here. You can really see the outside where the ink went. And it's on the outside of the stamp, and then it just messed it all up. Plus, you don't get the detail that you get when you just go straight up and down. Now, working with that, what I did next was, this stamp set has a die that matches most of the stamps. Like here we have the lighthouse, and we have a die that you can use. You stamp it and you can cut it out. Well, we also have one for the anchor and the sailboat. So what I did was I went ahead and I put the die on here. I put it on my, just like that. I put it on the sandwich for my stamp and cut and emboss machine, you know, your die cutting machine, embossing machine, and you run it through, and then it comes out just like this. So it's really nice. It's, you know, you get a really nice clean cut, and it matches the stamp image that you have. All right, so I don't want to take too much time going and reviewing everything for you, but on the, let me see what I want to do next. Okay, on the images, so that's how we get the sailboats and the anchors. Okay, so let me put this here. What did I do with the other? Where's the one I was working on? Oh, here it is. Got pushed over a little bit. So now with these, we have to do the blue border. So with the sailboat, what I did was I just cut it out. Now you guys already have it cut out, but again, I wanted to show you and teach you how to do this. This is a punch, and the picture shows me it's a scallop circle punch. And all I did was take a piece of paper, the blue cardstock, went through, and I turn it upside down so I can see where the paper's going. If I have it like this and I do it, it makes it a little difficult to see exactly. I want to line it up nice. So I turn it upside down, I bring it together, and I punch. And then there we go. All right, and for the larger die that I used here, I actually used my I used a die just like with the sailboats. Here's the it's a scallop edge circle die, and I'm going to show you this too because this is kind of fun to watch this, how this is. So I take my embossing machine, move these to the side, scrap piece of paper. Here's, I don't know if this will work. Oh, here's a scrap piece of paper. Okay, so I took a scrap piece of paper and my die cut. I make my sandwich like we did. Let me move this so you guys can see. So I make my sandwich, and I know I'm going to go my base, my paper. I'm going to put this on top. Oops, sorry. My base, my number 2. So my 1 and number 2, I'm going to put the paper and then the piece that I want to cut right there. Put this on top. And we do the same thing with the sailboat and the anchors. Same exact thing. We slide it through. Make sure you can see that. Oops, wait a minute. I have this. This one is, you just have to make sure everything's lined up for it to go through. And then you hold on to it, you cut it, or you crank it through. Sorry, this is a little slippery for my thing, so it moves. And when I'm all done, I have my piece of paper. Neat, right? All right, so back to our bookmarks. So with the anchor, you should have a blue piece with dimensionals on it. And with the sailboat, you just have a blue scallop edge. So let's do the sailboat first. What you want to do is just adhere that down. Again, use the adhesive of your choice, it doesn't matter. And I move this over just a little bit and up to the top, make it look kind of like a sunshine. And then with this one, you're going to take your backing off. Same thing. You can use your nail to push down, and these are the larger size dimensionals. Not that they're large, but you use your dimensionals based on your project. Oh, one more thing, I almost forgot. In the anchors, before you put your blue piece down, excuse me, sorry, did I adjust your camera? I'm sorry if I did. I tapped the camera. You should have a piece of twine. You're going to take that and just kind of pull it because it may be twisted. And take a piece of adhesive. I never put my anchor on. Sorry, let me do this quick. I was explaining so much to you guys. So I hope you guys are understanding everything so far, and I'm explaining it clearly and concisely. And I know it's difficult, we're not in person, but I'm hoping that by explaining everything next time we do a class, when you come in, at least you'll have a little bit of understanding. And of course, I'll be there to help you through. But I wanted to give you guys a basic understanding of how I came up with each of these parts and how they go together. All right, so what you want to do is you want to take your anchor bookmark and just take a little piece of adhesive and slide it at an angle, just at the top. Doesn't have to be big, maybe about an inch, if that. And then you're going to take your twine and you can wrap it around very loosely around 3 fingers, like that. And then just kind of pull it so that your loops are not even. You're probably like, what is she doing? And then what we're going to do is these are going to peek out from behind the label that we have on there. So, and you can play around with it. And by having the adhesive there, it helps to kind of keep it in place, just like that. You know, I'm not doing anything fancy schmancy. I'm just kind of putting around. So just like that. And then once you get it set, you can take your adhesive or your backing off your dimensionals, and we're going to lay this on there. Now, if you don't like it, if the loops are too big, I think my loops are a little too big, I'm just going to go back and pull it off and do it again. Another way you can do it is you can just go and kind of go back and forth this way. But again, the adhesive helps you to hold it in place. It really doesn't have to be perfect. It's just kind of a decor type of thing. I just like to have it hanging out the back a little bit, just to give it a little bit of, a little something something is what I like to say. Okay, and then that looks good. And then I'm going to put this right there. Now this tail and this tail are a little too long, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors. Where are they? Here they are. I'm going to cut those off. This one can hang off a little bit, and the same with this one. There we go. And then the last thing that we have to do for our bookmarks is to stamp our sentiments, and then I'll show you how I punch those out. It's very similar. It's simple, easy. It's similar to what I did with the blue. I'm sorry, with this blue scallop. So you take. I'm using the Night of Navy, which is my navy blue. I have already mounted my stamp. I'm going to ink it up gently, and then I'm just going to press down and straight up. Now it's a little crooked, but that's okay because I'm going to punch it out, and I can move it around. I'll show you how I do that. And then this one is going to go right there. I'm going to close this up. A good tip is to always close up your ink pads when you're working, because you don't want to. The worst thing is when you drop something into your ink pad and then you ruin your project. All right, so now I'm taking a small 1.5 inch circle punch. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to use the set sail in the direction and do the same thing. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to kind of line it up how I want it to be. When I get it kind of centered and straight, I just punch it out. And then I'm going to use a larger punch for this one because the sentiment is a little bit larger. This punch is 1 3/4. I don't know if you can see that. There you go, 1 3/4 inches. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to center it, put it where I want it, and then punch it. And that's going to go right there. Now on yours, I believe you have dimensionals on the back of yours, so you want to take your dimensionals and you want to pop this up. I'm going to put 3 dimensionals. You can put 2. Some people only put 1. I tend to put more dimensionals. I don't know why, but I do. I'm always afraid that it'll flatten out. They never do, but I do. And then you want to just put that on in the center. And then on this one, this is just going to lay flat. So you're going to take your adhesive, whatever it is. I'll grab my Tombow this time. And you put a little bit of glue on there, not a lot. And go ahead, center this on. And there you go. And there are our bookmarks. I think these are great. I love them. I love that they have, they're thin enough to fit in a book. They have the magnets to hold your page. It's wonderful. So I hope you guys like that. Let me see if I can get you back. I have to adjust my camera because I knocked everything over. Goodness gracious me. Let me see. Okay, there I am. Hi. So I hope you guys really like this. I enjoy doing these projects. It's always so much fun. I love meeting new people. So if you guys have any questions, please don't be shy. Definitely get in touch with me. Here's my email address, hello@lesliann.com. You can also go to my blog. There's a way of getting in touch with me there. And if you're on Facebook, you can find me on Facebook. This is let me show you real quick. This is my Facebook. That's my logo, Lesli-Ann. On Facebook, it's Lesli-Ann Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So if you guys are on Facebook and you want to see some things, those are all ways that you can get in touch with me. All right, well, thank you very much. I'm so happy that you joined me. I really hope that you like this class. I'm so grateful for the Middletown Township Public Library for inviting me in and helping me to do this and reach out to all the people. I think you guys are going to love it. I look forward to stamping with you again, and thank you so, so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.